The hegemony's War Council chamber fell silent as Supreme Commander Vrexnar activated the holographic display. 19,900 warships, the largest invasion fleet ever assembled in the 47 systems under hegemony control, appeared as a sea of crimson triangles against the star-speckled void. The human homeworld, Vrexnar declared, gesturing at the small blue planet projected at the center, is a strategic anomaly. Our intelligence suggests they possess no interstellar capabilities, no unified planetary defense, and their vessels are primitive at best, yet they inhabit a world rich with resources we desperately need for our expansion. Counselor Ithmal leaned forward, her scaled brow furrowed. If they are so primitive, why commit our entire primary fleet to this conquest? Vrexnar's 4 eyes narrowed. Standard protocol. Overwhelming force prevents resistance. Remember the Pulsar Directive. Crush swiftly, rule eternally. 12 light-years away, Dr. Alara Caney stared at the anomalous readings on her quantum observatory's display. The Australian outback stretched around her facility, a perfect location for the most advanced sensor array ever built by human hands. "Director Novak," she called, her voice tight with urgency. "You need to see this." Director Rhea Novak crossed the room in 4 quick strides, her normally impassive face showing concern at Alara's tone. "The gravitational fluctuations I've been tracking for months just converged," Alara explained, pointing to the cascading numbers. "Something massive is moving toward our solar system at speeds that defy our current understanding of physics." Novak's eyes widened. "Natural phenomenon?" "No." Alara's voice dropped to a whisper. "These patterns are deliberate, coordinated. This is an approaching fleet." 24 hours later, emergency sessions convened in every major government across the globe. The Quantum Observatory's findings had been verified by 17 other facilities worldwide. Humanity faced an undeniable truth. They were no longer alone, and their first contact would be with an armada of unprecedented scale. In a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, 5 individuals gathered around a conference table. General Darius Abernathy, commander of Earth's newly unified defense force, Dr. Alara King, Rhea Novak, Admiral Kazuo Ishimoto, the architect of humanity's modest space fleet, and Orion Vega, the eccentric billionaire whose company had secretly been developing experimental weapons systems for decades. 19,900 vessels, Abernathy stated flatly, against our 43 functional spacecraft. Suggestions? Vega slid a memory drive across the table. Project Prometheus. My team has been developing a theoretical defense system based on directed quantum entanglement. Caney's eyes lit with recognition. The Kessler paradox weaponized? That's insanity, Novak finished. But it might be our only option. Admiral Ishimoto studied the schematics now displayed on the wall screen. We would need to position entanglement nodes at specific points throughout the solar system. Our vessels aren't designed for that kind of deployment. They will be, Abernathy declared. In 48 hours, we expect first contact. In 48 hours, we will be ready. At the edge of the solar system, Vrexnar watched with satisfaction as his fleet prepared to enter formation for the final approach to Earth. "Commence the standard intimidation protocol," he ordered. "Let them witness our might before we demand their surrender." His second-in-command, Draztor, bowed deeply. "As you command, the humans will know fear before they know conquest." Neither of them noticed the small, unmanned Earth vessels quietly moving into position at precise coordinates throughout the solar system. The first wave of hegemony ships entered the solar system with calculated precision, their hulls gleaming under the distant sun. 7,000 warships moved in perfect formation, designed to instill terror in the primitive species they had come to conquer. On Earth, billions watched their skies, where the approaching armada appeared as new stars, too numerous, too bright, and moving with unnatural synchronicity. News channels abandoned regular programming, religious leaders called for prayer, and military installations worldwide went to maximum alert. In the command center beneath the Rockies, Orion Vega's fingers danced across holographic controls as he made final adjustments to Project Prometheus. "The entanglement nodes are in position," he reported, 43 points creating a three-dimensional lattice throughout the solar system. Dr. Caney nodded, her face illuminated by cascading data. "The math is sound, but the energy requirements are astronomical. We'll have one chance at this." "One chance is all we need," Admiral Ishimoto replied. He turned to General Abernathy. "Your call, General." Abernathy studied the tactical display showing the incoming hegemony forces. "We wait. Let them commit fully to the incursion. If this works, we need to catch as many as possible." Aboard the hegemony flagship Inevitable Dominion, Supreme Commander Vrex Nar received the initial scans of Earth's defenses with amusement. "They've positioned primitive vessels at seemingly random points throughout their system," he noted. A desperate, final gesture. Counselor Ithmal, who had insisted on witnessing the conquest personally, studied the display. "The positioning seems deliberate. Perhaps we should analyze further before proceeding?" Vrexanar dismissed her concern with a wave of his upper limb. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. This is likely a ceremonial formation, a final act of defiance, touching but futile." He turned to his communications officer. "Send the surrender ultimatum. Standard protocol, 6 hours to capitulate or face extinction." The message reached Earth in minutes, automatically translating into all human languages as it broadcast across every communication channel. Director Novak read the ultimatum aloud to the command center. "People of Earth, you are addressed by the glorious hegemony of the 47 systems. Your world has been selected for integration. Surrender all planetary governance within 6 Earth hours or face immediate eradication. Resistance is mathematically futile." A tense silence followed before Abernathy spoke. "Send our response." Earth's message was brief. "We respectfully decline. Humanity chooses its own path." Vrexnar's laughter echoed through the inevitable dominions. "Command deck. As expected. Begin the approach. All vessels maintain formation Delta 6. The massive hegemony fleet accelerated toward Earth, the remaining 12,900 ships now joining the advance. Their weapon systems powered up, shields hummed to maximum capacity, and invasion pods prepared for deployment. None of them noticed the quantum fluctuations beginning to ripple through space around Earth's strategically placed vessels. "Energy signature is building," Dr. Caney reported, her voice steady despite the stakes. "Quantum entanglement network at 80% synchronization." Vega's hands trembled slightly as he made microscopic adjustments. "If our calculations are correct, we'll create a cascading reaction that will propagate through their fleet via their own shield harmonics." "And if we're wrong?" Novak asked. Admiral Ishimoto answered grimly. "Then humanity's last act will have been to say no to tyranny." The clock ticked down as the hegemony fleet crossed the threshold of Jupiter's orbit. On screens worldwide, humanity watched what might be their final hours. Abernathy nodded once. "Activate Project Prometheus." The universe seemed to hold its breath. Then, like silent lightning, quantum threads of impossibly entangled particles bridged the carefully positioned nodes. For a fraction of a second, nothing appeared to happen. The hegemony fleet continued its inexorable approach. Weapons primed. Aboard the inevitable Dominion, alarms suddenly screamed to life. "Supreme Commander!" The sensor officer's voice cracked with panic. "Detecting massive energy distortions. Our shields are—" Vrexnar watched in disbelief as the nearest hegemony vessel twisted inward, its matter compressing as space itself seemed to fold around it. Then, with a flash that momentarily outshone Jupiter, the ship disappeared. Not exploded, not destroyed. Simply gone. "What weapon is this?" Ithmal demanded, clutching the command rail as the deck shuddered beneath them. Before anyone could respond, 2 more warships vanished in rapid succession. Then 10, then hundreds. Evasive maneuvers, Vrexnar bellowed. All ships, break formation! But the quantum cascade had already begun. Each ship's disappearance created a new focal point for the effect, propagating through the fleet via their own interconnected shield frequencies. The very technology that had made the hegemony invincible now became the architecture of their undoing. On Earth, stunned silence gave way to cautious hope as they watched the alien armada begin to unravel. "It's working," Vega whispered, his face bathed in the glow of sensor readings. The Kessler paradox is creating micro-singularities at each intersection point. Dr. Caney's eyes never left her display. The ships aren't being destroyed, they're being translocated, scattered across thousands of random coordinates throughout the galaxy. "How many?" Abernathy asked. Admiral Ishimoto studied the tactical display. "We're tracking. The effect is spreading faster than we projected. At current rates, over 99% of their fleet will be displaced." Novak leaned forward. "And the rest?" "The quantum field is beginning to degrade," Vega replied. "Some will escape the effect." In deep space, chaos reigned among the hegemony forces. Ship after ship vanished in brilliant flashes of light, leaving behind nothing but empty void where minutes before had been the mightiest armada ever assembled. Aboard the inevitable Dominion, Vrexnar fought to maintain control as his fleet disintegrated around him. "Disengage shield harmonics," he ordered. "Switch to isolated defense protocols." His technicians raced to comply, bypassing safety systems and severing the connections that had synchronized the fleet's defenses. The inevitable Dominion shuddered violently as its systems reconfigured, but remained intact as the last of the quantum cascade rippled past them. When the energy storm finally subsided, Vrexnar ordered a fleet-wide status report. The response was devastating. 17, Drazator reported, his voice hollow. 17 vessels remaining, Supreme Commander. The rest, gone. Counselor Ithmal stared out at the emptiness where their invincible armada had been. "What species possesses such technology? Our intelligence said they were primitive." Vrexnar had no answer. For the first time in his long military career, he faced not just defeat, but incomprehension. "Status of the human planet?" he finally asked. "Unchanged," came the reply. "Their small vessels remain in position. They appear to be waiting." The 17 surviving hegemony warships regrouped in the shadow of Saturn, their commanders shaken to the core. 19,883 vessels, gone. Not destroyed in honorable combat, but simply removed from existence. "We should retreat immediately," Ithmal insisted, addressing the emergency council convened aboard the inevitable Dominion. "Return to hegemony space and report this unprecedented weapon." Drazator bristled. "Retreat? Before primitives? The shame would echo for generations." Vrexnar silenced them both with a gesture. "Our mission parameters have changed, but our objective remains. We must understand what happened to our fleet." On the view screen, Earth's small defense vessels remained in their precise formation, having not fired a single conventional weapon. "They wait," Vrexnar observed. "Perhaps they believe their display of power will force our surrender." A junior tactical officer, Lish Vren, approached hesitantly. "Supreme Commander, I've analyzed the energy patterns from the incident. The humans did not destroy our fleet." All 4 of Vrexnar's eyes focused on the young officer. "Explain." "The quantum signatures suggest spatial displacement, not destruction. Our ships were relocated, scattered across vast distances. With enough time, they could theoretically return." Hope flickered briefly before reality reasserted itself. Even if the ships survived, they would be dispersed across countless light years. The invasion force was effectively neutralized. On Earth, celebrations were tempered with caution. The 17 remaining alien ships had withdrawn to Saturn, but showed no signs of leaving the solar system. "Why haven't they retreated?" General Abernathy asked, studying the tactical display. "They must realize they're outmatched now." Dr. Caney adjusted her glasses. "Perhaps they don't understand what happened. From their perspective, their fleet simply vanished without explanation. Or maybe they're regrouping for another attack," Admiral Ishimoto suggested. Director Novak shook her head. "With 17 ships against a weapon that displaced nearly 20,000? That would be suicide. Unless they've identified a weakness." "In our system," Vega interjected. He gestured to his displays. "The quantum entanglement network is spent. We'd need weeks to reset the nodes, assuming the principles could work twice against the same enemy." Abernathy considered this. "So we managed to surprise them once. We won't get a second chance with this weapon." "Then we need to negotiate from a position of strength," Novak concluded. "Before they realize our big gun is empty." The decision was made. Earth would initiate contact. Admiral Ishimoto drafted the message himself. "Hegemony Fleet, your invasion force has been neutralized without bloodshed. We offer dialogue rather than destruction. Will you speak with us as equals?" Hours passed. Before the reply came, "We will speak." The meeting was arranged in neutral space, a virtual conference using compatible transmission protocols. From Earth, the 5 leaders of the Defense Initiative would represent humanity. From the inevitable Dominion, Vrexnar and his council would speak for the hegemony. When the connection stabilized, both sides studied each other in wary silence. Finally, Vrexnar spoke. "You claim to have neutralized our fleet without bloodshed. Where are our ships?" "Scattered," Dr. Kane answered truthfully. "Randomly displaced across the galaxy. Your crews are likely still alive, just elsewhere." Disbelief crossed Vrexnar's alien features. "No species at your development stage should possess such technology." "Perhaps," Abernathy replied, "you should reconsider your assessments of our development stage." A tense silence stretched between the human delegation and the hegemony representatives. 2 civilizations meeting for the first time over the aftermath of an averted conquest. "Your technology," Vrexnar finally said, "contradicts everything we know about evolutionary development patterns. Species do not leap from atmospheric flight to quantum manipulation within a single generation." "We didn't," Vega replied. "We've been studying quantum mechanics for over a century. We simply applied it differently than you expected." Director Novak leaned forward. "Which raises the question, why did you believe us primitive? What reconnaissance did you perform before launching your invasion?" Counselor Ithmal exchanged glances with Vrexnar before answering. "Standard protocol. We observed your visible infrastructure, analyzed your communications, and cataloged your space presence. You have no unified planetary government. Your spacecraft are limited to your own system. You wage wars among yourselves over resources and ideologies." "All true," Admiral Ishimoto acknowledged. "And yet incomplete." Dr. Caney nodded. "You saw our divisions but missed our diversity. You counted our spacecraft but overlooked our theoretical physics. You measured our military might but failed to calculate our creativity when threatened." Abernathy's gaze hardened. "Now let us be clear. We can send your remaining 17 ships the same way as the others. We offer dialogue instead because, unlike you, we don't believe might automatically confers right on the inevitable Dominion." Lishevren, the young tactical officer, whispered something to Vrexnar, who listened intently before addressing the humans again. "My officer informs me that your quantum network appears depleted. Your weapon cannot fire again without significant reconfiguration." His upper limbs spread in a gesture of challenge. "Perhaps your position is not as dominant as you claim." The human delegation maintained perfect composure, not confirming or denying the assessment. "Interesting theory," Vega replied evenly. Would you stake your remaining ships on it? Before Vrexnar could respond, Counselor Ithmal intervened. This posturing serves neither species. Supreme Commander, the Pulsar Directive was created for conventional conflicts. This situation is unprecedented. She turned to the humans. If what you say is true, that our fleet is displaced but not destroyed, then perhaps cooperation would benefit both our peoples more than continued hostility. A new voice entered the conversation, Draztor, who had remained silent until now. Cooperation? With a species that humiliated the hegemony? Impossible. Is it humiliation to discover we were wrong? Ithmal countered. The humans defended themselves against overwhelming aggression. They showed restraint by not destroying our vessels when they clearly possessed the capability. The debate among the hegemony representatives grew heated, revealing fractures in their unity. The humans exchanged glances, recognizing the opportunity. Perhaps, Director Novak suggested, we should consider a more productive path forward. You came seeking resources. What specific elements does the hegemony require? This practical question caught the aliens off guard. After a moment's consultation, Vrexnar answered, primarily Class 4 heavy metals, quantum-stabilizing minerals, and biological compounds for atmospheric regeneration. Dr. Kane's eyes widened. Your systems are failing environmentally? That's why you expand through conquest? The oldest worlds of the hegemony have been inhabited for millennia, Ithmal explained. Our expansion is not merely ambition, it is survival. Admiral Ishimoto leaned toward his colleagues. Trade rather than conquest, he murmured. A concept apparently foreign to them. General Abernathy addressed the aliens directly. The hegemony invaded Earth seeking resources. We suggest an alternative: diplomatic relations, scientific exchange, and negotiated trade agreements. Earth has abundance, but it is not yours to take, it is ours to share under mutually beneficial terms. For the first time since the encounter began, genuine consideration showed in Vrexnar's expression. 3 months after the failed invasion, a single hegemony diplomatic vessel, sleek and ceremonial rather than bristling with weapons, entered Earth orbit under escort from 4 Earth defense ships. On the rebuilt International Space Station, now expanded to serve as humanity's first extraterrestrial diplomatic hub, representatives from every major Earth nation gathered to welcome the official hegemony delegation. Supreme Commander Vrexnar had been recalled to face the High Council, his career ended by the unprecedented defeat. In his place stood Counselor Ithmal, now designated as first emissary to Earth, accompanied by the young tactical officer Lishavren, whose insights during the crisis had earned him promotion. Welcome to Earth, Director Novak greeted them, serving as humanity's lead diplomat for this historic occasion. We trust your journey was uneventful? Quite, Ithmal replied. Though I confess, traveling with only one vessel feels exposed, after a lifetime with fleet protection. Trust must begin somewhere, Admiral Ishimoto observed. Your willingness to come with minimal escort speaks volumes. The formal proceedings commenced with the signing of the Sol Hegemony Accord, a non-aggression pact coupled with preliminary trade agreements. Earth would provide certain resources in exchange for technological insights, particularly in sustainable energy production and medical advancements. Noticeably absent from the human delegation was Orion Vega, who had retreated from public view to continue his research. His final public statement had been simple. Today we defended ourselves. Tomorrow we must understand what we've unleashed. After the ceremonies concluded, Dr. Caney approached Lishavren in a quiet moment. Have you found any of your missing ships? She asked. The young hegemony officer's bioluminescent pattern shifted, their equivalent of a solemn expression. 3 vessels so far. One appeared near a remote outpost in the Cygnus Arm. Another materialized in deep space within our territory. The third emerged inside an asteroid field. There were no survivors from that one. I'm sorry, Caney said. sincerely. The displacement effect was never meant to be lethal. Yet 19,000 ships remain missing, Lichevren noted. Some may never be found, or they might all return tomorrow, Caney replied. Quantum displacement operates outside normal space-time parameters. We're still learning ourselves. As are we, came the reply. The hegemony believed itself the pinnacle of civilization. You have adjusted that perspective. Later, as Earth's night side rolled into view beneath the space station, General Abernathy stood at a viewport with Counselor Ithmal. Your world is beautiful, the alien diplomat observed. I understand now why you defended it so ferociously. Humanity has many flaws, Abernathy admitted. We fight amongst ourselves. We damage our environment. We can be short-sighted and selfish. Yet, when threatened from outside, you united. We did, Abernathy nodded. Perhaps that's the gift your invasion gave us, the reminder that beneath our differences we share one home worth defending together. Ithmal's upper limbs performed a complex gesture that her translator rendered as philosophical agreement. The hegemony conquered 47 systems without meaningful resistance. Your world, your species, showed us that expansion through force has limits. And what will the hegemony do with that lesson? Evolution, Ithmal replied simply. Adapt or perish. The High Council debates even now whether trade might succeed where conquest failed. As they spoke, observatories across Earth tracked a bright flash near Neptune, another hegemony vessel returning from its quantum exile, one of the thousands still scattered across the cosmos. A reminder of both humanity's unexpected power and their responsibility in wielding it. We didn't destroy your invasion fleet, Abernathy said quietly. We merely redistributed it. Perhaps that's the difference between our approaches. Your hegemony sought to take what we had. In defending ourselves, we merely changed the equation. And in doing so, Ithmal concluded, you may have changed two civilizations forever. From that day forward, Earth was never again viewed as a primitive world ripe for conquest. Instead, it gained a reputation throughout the stars, the small blue planet where 19,900 warships went to invade, and only 17 survived. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy not through conquest of their own, but through ingenuity, cooperation, and the simple, powerful declaration that they belonged among the stars as equals, not subjects. And across the vast reaches of space, hegemony ships continued to reappear, a persistent reminder that actions have consequences that echo across time and space, teaching a lesson that both civilizations would carry into their shared future.